Welcome to Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. My guest today, Rahul Sharma, is a certified public speaker, facilitator, and coach. He knows that achieving excellence and fostering high performance growth demands grit, determination, and perseverance. His expertise is cultivating leaders and building high performing teams has been refined through the years with hands on experience. He's a firm believer that leaders can be born and developed with proper coaching. Rahul, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Renee, for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Rahul Sharma, based in Nashville, Virginia, and I'm a leadership coach, a transformational speaker, and an author. And I aspire to help others to live their life their way.
I love that. I love that. So I always like to start by asking all guests about a mental victory vibe celebration. So, Rahul, what have you done for yourself lately?
So lately, I have working on the webinar. So I have focused on the webinar. I've never done a webinar. I was always thinking that doing a webinar could be a challenge, but I was able to work towards it, and I was able to do all the preparation, do all the hard work that it takes to conduct a webinar, and I have successfully done it.
Oh, that's great. So I guess that would lead into my next question. What's your personal empowerment theme song?
My personal empowerment is believe in yourself. I am a positive believer. I focus on thinking positively, and I consciously make an effort to inject positivity through my mind. So that's a conscious effort that I take. I know in today's world there is a lot of negativity around us, so it becomes challenging, but that's what I consciously work on, injecting positivity through positive mind talk.
So I want to just hop right in. How can individuals cultivate a positive mindset and create more joy and fulfillment in their lives?
Sure. So for that, I would say there are three things that I have worked on it, and I have seen that successfully. First and foremost is about practicing gratitude. Many a times we focus on things that we don't have, and very rarely we focus on things that God has given to us. So I would want all of us to be thankful for the people that we are with, the things that have happened to our life, as well as all the nuances, small nuances of life. So we should be thankful. Focus on writing down the journals or a gratitude journal if possible, but be thankful. That would be my first thing that I have worked on, and I would appreciate people doing it. Second, I would say is the act of kindness or helping others. For me, I get inspiration when I'm able to help others, and I don't get inspiration just by helping. To be honest, Renee, I get inspiration when I see the impact of that help on the other person. So that is another way for us to cultivate positivity in us. Be resourceful, be kind to others, be helpful. And by this, I'm not saying that we have to focus on using our money. It's not about money. It's about act of kindness. Could be just holding a door when you are walking out from a shopping mall. That could be an act of kindness. Holding an elevator for someone, giving a space to an elderly person if you are in a train or a bus, or on a flight, giving them space, helping them keeping the luggage. Those could be the act of kindness. So that would be the second thing. And the third thing I would say is inculcate the habit of positive mind talk. That has worked wonders for me, Renee, and I'm seeing it working for my kids who are just 9 and 11. They are talking positively about themselves. They are talking positively of what they want to do next. They are not there, but I'm loving that they are started. They have started doing it. So injecting that positive mind talk, because we get a lot of negative thoughts around us. So it is important for us to think positively, give positive input to our own mind. So these are the three things I would say practice gratitude, act of kindness, help others. And number three would be inculcate a positive mind talk.
Do you would you agree that your kids, because they see you do that, is just kind of trickling down? They're like, wait, if it works for dad, then it'll work for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to be honest here. There was one of the show where the individual asked me the question about inculcating habits in the kids, and my response, on the spot response, was kids are just a byproduct of the parents. So it's very easy, fairly easy, I would say, not easy, fairly easy for parents to inculcate right habits, and that easiness is just doing the right things. So if you as a parent are doing something which is not right, then you will not be able to tell your kids not to do it. So this is what I have heard from my wife, that it's very easy for me to inculcate habits on my son because he's replicating me. He is imitating me, the way I talk, the way I walk, everything. So that as a parent, I agree that it is fairly easier for us to demonstrate those things in our day-to-day life.
I like that a lot. I think it's very important, especially where I am. Kids are now back in school, so the pressure of school is more than just academics, of course, because at any level, friendship is something that they are seeking and they want. So to speak that positivity into themselves, I like to hear that. And I
Absolutely.
hope that the me timers listening, especially our parents, our moms and dads, they're like, yes, I'm doing that right. That music on the way to school or that conversation on the way to school. So thank you for injecting that.
Yes, yes. And I think you just mentioned about the school. Just today, I published an article on LinkedIn, Renee's, about how to lead a successful college life. I was doing some statistics. There is like 41% of college students. There are
Mhm.
16.9 million students started college in this year, 23. Out of those, only 40% will graduate in 4 years. There is such a high dropout, and number one reason for dropout is the definitely financial, but focusing on those relationship. So as you were talking about that me time, it's important for us to focus on the right relationship, nurture, have those right people so that we can talk it out. Most of the times we just keep things to ourselves. We
This
don't get the ability to talk it out. And I think if we get the right mentor, right individual, we should talk things out so that we release some stress and release the pressure.
I agree. It's hard in adulthood, and it's a hard in any area of life really when you're really just
Mhm.
trying to find your way. So I'm definitely going to check out that article on LinkedIn, and I'll also include a link in the show notes because
Awesome.
I agree. This month, I talked to an educator that talked a lot about co-parenting and talked about the pressures and the stress that young adults experience when they go off to college or start at a new school or just start at a new school because they transition from grade school to middle school. So
Mhm.
it's a definitely something that I will definitely read and share with the audience.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So, can you share an example of a mindset shift that has been had a profound impact on your life?
Sure. So this mindset of never giving up
Mhm.
was one thing which has made a very profound effect. And it's not one time and again. And I'm seeing that trait on my daughter. Whether it is smallest of the smallest thing, whether it is about the puzzle or about learning something new, till she get it, she does not give up. And a couple of years ago, when I started swimming back into my fitness regime, I encountered that I used to love swimming when I was growing up. And last 2 decades, my swimming was just with the kids, just playing on the pool, not really swimming for fitness. And I was very excited. And the moment I entered, I was excited. And the moment I took first lap, it was a 25-meter pool. I was tired.
Mhm.
I was dead tired, and I was a little disappointed with myself. I was only able to take 4 laps in 30 minutes, so I was used to take a break. And that's where I started doing some mind talk with myself, that what went wrong. And one thing that struck to me was I was thinking that I'm just as good as 20 years ago. Things have changed in last 20 years. I did not did a self analysis that the physically I'm not as fit as I used to be, mentally. So there were many things that did not work for me. So I have to take a step back and think about what can I do differently. I had many choices. I had choices to just do what I was doing, but I was determined to focus on at least 30 to 40 minutes of swimming time. And this attitude of never give up really helped me. Next day I came in with a powerful thought process. I was able to do 6 laps, followed by 8 laps, and in a span of 3 weeks, Renee, I was able to do 40 laps without any stoppage. And that I could do it just because of that perseverance and persistence and that never giving up. I didn't want to give up. I just refused to give up.
I think that that's a great segue into my next question because you've mentioned it a couple of times. What's mind talk?
So mind talk is nothing but the talk about us to us, which we do 1,000 times in a day. Whether we know or we don't know, we do it. Um, and if we do a positive mind talk, we see a positive outcome. If there is a negative mind talk we do, we have a negative outcome. So our mind does not differentiate, Renee, between what is reality and what is real or what is imaginary. So even if you are imagining something positive, though it is not existing in real, we understand. So I'm talking more around that manifestation,
Yeah.
that positivity. So even if we talk positively, our brain stays in a happy mode, less stressful, less anxiety, 4 to 6 hours more than normal. This is as per the research. So if we are anxiety, if we have feeling anxiety, we
Mhm.
should be thinking positively. We should be talking positively to us. That will allow us to take positive thoughts, positive action, and lead a happy and healthier life.
So can you walk me through an example? So let's say that for myself, okay, um, I definitely want to be. I'm a high achiever. I want to get it right the first time. I don't like if I make a mistake. I immediately I'm like, why'd you do that? Do it again. So what are some things that I could do with mind talk, especially my internal dialogue, to help in those situations when I want to show up as a high achiever every time, and even doing so when I don't, if I just have one misstep, I
Mhm.
beat myself up mentally.
Sure. So one of the common things I have noticed people who do this mind talk, or also known as self talk, is they use the word "I" in the conversation. Whereas our scientists and researchers tell us to insert our name during that conversation. So instead of saying why I do it, why Rahul did it, why Rahul could not did it first time, what it does is, Renee, it's allow us to keep and take control of our feelings, our action, and our emotions in a unfavorable circumstances. When things are all good, then we are all in control. Things get a little haywire when we are not in a good situation, when there is a difficult situation. So my recommendation would be to use your name when you are having any mind talk dialogue instead of using the word I. The second thing I would say is, whenever you are dwelling between a decision where you have to go left, right, or maybe any decision, identify the pros and cons of each of these decisions in your mind. Okay. Also, have a very honest conversation with us. And many a times I will tell you, we don't do honest conversation all the time.
So,
We live in that fake world. And what happens is, when we are not honest to ourselves, we are feeding something to our own body, and we are feeding wrong things. We are feeding things that is not true, and that leads to some situation which is not favorable situation. So when you are doing a mind talk, you need to have a very honest and open conversation with our own self. You can be true to yourself, and after that is identify those pros and cons of those decisions that you would want to make. And there is a another aspect is when you read those decisions loud, the pro decisions, you are basically telling your mind to do it, telling you are giving direction to your mind. If you notice, whatever we do, the first thing it happens in our mind, then our mind give us direction to make it happen. So if we talk it loud, those positive decisions or those positive actions, if we are seeing it, we will be able to make it happen. It is just all in our mind.
I really like the example that you gave, and I do feel like that works both professionally and personally. So in the workplace, when maybe it's a senior leader, maybe it's a colleague or someone on your team that you need to have that crucial conversation with. It's difficult to have that crucial conversation. It can be a challenge. What would you still recommend that same those same steps, or do you have different recommendations as it trickles into the workplace?
So, for the crucial conversation, my recommendation that I give to my leaders is preparation. And what I mean by preparation is you need to do a role play with your own self about the dialogue that you will be having. Think about the pros and cons, and very specifically when it is a sensitive dialogue. When it is a normal conversation, it will all go great. But whenever it is a sensitive conversation, you need to prepare yourself. What could be the potential questions that employee can ask you? How are you prepared to answer those questions? So we have to walk into their shoes and think from their perspective and prepare ourselves. And there would be at times we may not be prepared for everything. So if you do not know any answer, if you do not know how to handle it, it's okay to say no. Hey, I don't know.
Mhm.
It is perfectly okay. Instead of giving an answer which can hamper your relationship, I would not advise that. So that would be my number one recommendation. Rehearsal, prepare yourself for those sensitive dialogue, because that one dialogue, one conversation could be a deal maker or a deal breaker.
I like that idea. What are some of the common challenges that leaders face when building and uplifting their teams, or how do they overcome them using
Yep.
actually starting first saying their name, right, and
Correct.
practicing, but how
Correct.
can they use that to also uplift?
So one of the common challenge I have seen. So I would. There are two aspects to this from a leadership perspective.
Okay.
One, leading a team that you have built yourself right from scratch, versus leading a team that you are inheriting. So when you are transitioning from one team to another team or one job to another job,
Mhm.
I would say, in my experience, it is fairly easy to lead a team that you build yourself.
Yeah.
Those people already have that faith, that trust in you. The challenge happens is when you are inheriting a team. And when you are inheriting a team, you are starting from level zero. John Maxwell talks about the 5 levels of leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and you start with level zero, where they are only respecting you because of the title that you have. So one of the challenge that most of the leaders face is the lack of trust. They are unable to build that trust within them with their employees. They still operate from that level 5 because they were level 5 in their with their previous team or in their previous job. So they operate from level 5, and that is where they are unable to make it through the lack of trust. The second thing I would say is every individual has their own way of doing things. There is
Mm-hmm.
no right or wrong way. It is just the perspective. And we as a leader, we need to understand that when we are leading a team of 5, all those 5 people are different. You cannot have one strategy or one way of managing them. We as a leader, we need to adapt to different strategies with different people, different strategies in different situations. And that is where one of the common mistake we make as leaders, we are unable to adapt ourselves. We just follow one way, one strategy, and we sometimes we make uncomfortable working environment, because of which people quit, or people do not want to work with us. So those are the two things that we face. How we can overcome lack of trust is, you have to help them, you have to be for them, you have to show that you have the knowledge and capability to lead them. As a leader, our responsibility is to make them happy, make them feel good, make them valued for what they are doing. So we need to focus on building trust. And building trust, you need to be a giver. You have to build that emotional balance. Emotional bank account has to be created, so where you are elevating that trust. The second piece which I mentioned about knowing different personalities, you need to know your people. Each people are different. You need to know them beyond their laptop. You need to know them beyond their roles and responsibilities and their name. You need to value their time. You have to show empathy to them, and just be kind, because everyone has their life, everyone has their story. If someone is doing something, there is a reason. You cannot just only talk about numbers, numbers, numbers. You need to understand why those numbers are not coming. What is that is stopping them to bring those numbers, rather than asking them why you are not doing. Help them. So act as a peer. And this is another thing I would say, and then I will shut up. As a leader, we also need to be a good follower.
Mhm.
It's just not about just leading. We need to follow. So let's say there is an individual in our team who's doing good. We need to learn from them. We need to follow them what they are doing good. So all good leaders are always good followers. That is what has been my experience.
So you've talked about a couple things, and I want to just bring it all together because I really think that you really went into that leadership aspect. And one of the things that I lean on heavily is that we're all leaders in our own way. In our life,
Mhm.
we are all leaders. And we started our conversation, and you talked about mind talk and that talk and how it trickles down to your children.
Yeah,
So starting with that leadership there, the leadership at home to say, hey, speak this positivity into your life. And moving that forward, it would actually transition to and trickle into your work life as well. Would you agree?
absolutely. Absolutely. This is one thing I have seen is, whenever we are having a work conversation, we always want to take out our home stuff out, because we want to focus at work.
Mhm.
But most of the times we are unable to do the reverse. When we are at home, we have to be 100%, and I'm guilty to it. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm perfect there. It's a work in progress for me, because whatever happens at work, it stays there for a longer time. It's very difficult to switch on and a switch off mode. But I'm making a conscious effort to be present in the moment, with the family when I am spending time with them, because I have seen, Renee, family does not need our money, does not need those fancy vacation or fancy food. Honestly, they need our undivided attention, specifically kids. If we are able to provide them the time, the quality of time, I think we as a parent will be very, very successful in nurturing our kids.
Well, what I'm enjoying about this conversation is how mind talk is part of every aspect of our
Mhm.
being. It's
Yes.
not just something that you pick up and do when you walk into the workplace.
Hmm.
It's not something that you switch on when you're pulling the driveway or pulling the garage, turn the car off before you walk in the door.
Yep.
Mind talk is actually who we are.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
like that. I'm so curious about your strategies because these are very effective strategies that can work whether at home or at work. Can we talk about your books, Habits for Miracles? And are these strategies in that book?
So these are the 8 habits. So the I have used the word miracles as an acronym to talk about 8 different habits.
Mm-hmm.
And in my book, I am talking about the strategies on how you can make these habits as a part of your life. So it is just not about. So it's a combination of some theory about that habit. It is a combination of my personal stories, that how I got into that habit. And towards the end, I'm talking about some action items that the readers can take right in the moment. They don't have to wait to complete the book. It is a 75-minute to a 90-minute read if you want to just finish in one go, and you will walk away with some actionable steps that will help you in inculcating those habits in your life.
So you were talking about them right now, but your book gives steps on how to implement.
Correct, correct, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So for someone that's really just at a level of burnout and they're just trying to find another way, Habits for Miracles would be a good read.
Could be a good read. I think you were talking about the me time, and that is one of the habit is miracles. L is listening, and here I am focusing more on listening to self.
Hmm.
Yes, listening to others is critical, is important, no doubt about it, but I've given a different twist about listening to ourselves, which sometimes we neglect. We don't give
Oh, yeah.
so much time to our own self. We are so much into other things, making others happy, but it's important for us to listen to our own self, because yourself will be always be true to you.
Hmm.
That yourself will show mirror to you, and will make you take action in a positive manner.
I see you slip that me time off in there.
Yeah.
Me timers, you get that? That 15 minutes, 10 of those minutes could be reading a few of these, reading a page or two in this book.
Correct, correct,
Me
correct.
time is so important. I believe me time off is so important. It really
Absolutely.
affects how we show up. And basically the strategies that you're talking about right now are strategies to show up as our best self.
Correct, 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 correct. Absolutely.
I'm all for that. Where can me timers learn more about your business and your
So
book products?
yes,
I should
so
say.
my book is sold everywhere where books are sold, Renee, whether it's Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, or Apple. They can log into my book website, habitsformiracles.com, and then they can find a free workbook, which is an accountability workbook, because I do
Ooh.
believe that we all need to be accountable. And one of the reason why we are not able to take consistent action is because of lack of accountability. So
Mhm.
if they log into my website, they will be able to access this free workbook.
Oh, I like that. One of the things I like to talk about is accountability advocates. So that workbook is serving as that accountability advocate to help through their process, through their own journey, because everyone's journey is different and it starts differently. Just like our stories may be similar, but our journeys are going to be different.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I love that there is a workbook also to
Hmm.
help on the
Yes.
journey.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. So I have another question for you that I like to ask all guests. What advice would you give your younger self to help cultivate self trust?
I would the not to focus on being as a perfectionist.
Mm.
I have lived majority of my life being a perfectionist, uh, being I've been a high time achiever, and what I have realized of lately, perfection. I don't think there is something called perfection, because perfection is it's more like a purple squirrel, because it is a perspective. Maybe what perfection is for you may not be for others. Others can still find faults in it. So I would give advice to my younger self is continue to focus on taking imperfect action, but
Ooh,
focus on taking action.
ooh. I think that is so important to hear.
Mhm.
I really do. I that is so important to hear because the idea of being perfect and getting it absolutely right to meet our own internal expectations, thinking that it's external expectations that we're meeting, right?
Mhm.
I
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
So it's been great having you on, and I love that you've incorporated leadership strategies as well as things that we can take home with us. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you,
It's been
Renee,
a
for
pleasure.
having me here.
I will definitely check out your book. because I always like to I'm always on a journey of learning. I'm a lifelong
Mhm.
learner.
Yep, yep, absolutely. We all are. Mhm.
Thank you so much. Well, me timers, you heard it here first with Me Time with Mind Escape 5, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. Have a great day now.